I had an opportunity to talk with my friends, a friend of mine, and of course he's in business too. Most of my friends are entrepreneurs. They're doing some form of business. Uh they're working on something. They're building something, but there's always that sense of fear and anxiety. There's always a sense of fear and anxiety that shows up. It happens all the time. Why? Because that's just life. We get fearful when we don't know what the future holds. You can't sleep at night. Your mind's racing around in circles because you made a decision. You're thinking about the what if this might not work, this might work. You have anxiety, some doubts, a lot of uncertainty, right? And then stress comes. Stress comes from those uncertainty, from the fears, the doubt, the anxiety. Then you have sleepless night that just add on to all of this, right? Don't we all feel like that sometime? Don't we all? And then not getting enough sleep make it even more stressful. And it piles on top of each other. Then you get into this state of overwhelm. And it affects everyone. It affects me, the people I know, the one that makes millions of dollars and the one that don't make a lot of money have this same fear and anxiety. We all face it sometime in our life, and some people actually face it more than others. But what's important is how do you ride through it? How do you get through it? So I guess I'll share a quick story, like how when I was starting off was near the end of year two of running this online business. Man, the money was tight, as always. Yeah, I've always been in the place of money tight when I was younger. And so there was a lot of fear and anxiety out of that. I was working two jobs, going to school in this place called Monroe, Louisiana. If you guys familiar with the Duck Dynasty, they are over there. I did not know that they existed over there. They're cool people. Cool rednecks. I'm just kidding. They are. They're country people, country folks. They're cool. I didn't know they existed over there. But I went to this school, ULM, in Monroe, Louisiana. The house I was staying at, me and my partner was there. We were living there at the time. And I mean, this house was filled with inventory, boxes stacked up to the ceiling. I was eating and cooking around boxes. I mean, we were filled up. All right. We stuffed all these boxes in here because we bought it from suppliers overseas. And we're like, hey, I don't know where else to put this. So we're going to have to put it inside the house. I slept next to boxes too. I had a little like blow up mattress on the ground next to the boxes. So it was kind of that's how we were living at the time. It was an old rundown house, kind of old, funky, moldy smell. If you guys ever live in the old house, if you guys ever been in a house that was kind of old growing up, that's what it smelled like. I mean, but the rent was cheap, $1,000 per month for a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house. That was a steal. And now you can't get anything like that for like 2 to 3 grand. It's crazy. And the only great thing about that house was that it was right behind a Vietnamese restaurant, an Asian restaurant. It wasn't really a Vietnamese restaurant. It was like a combination of like a Thai, Vietnamese, and Filipino. So they kind of threw everything together. But it was good. If I was hungry, I went back there and just grabbed a bite to eat. And at the end of year two, the business was generating like maybe five, $6,000 a month. That was great, but it was not paying the bills for me. And I felt like we were growing fast. I felt good. And we had a couple people working for us. Actually, a bunch of my college friends who want to make some quick cash. They were helping us packing and shipping the orders. And our next big thing was building this website, expanding into eBay because we flopped the first time. Let's get back on eBay, see if we make some money. And everything felt great. I felt like things were working out. I felt like things were moving along, things were working. We were moving up. Even though I was still working two jobs, I was still broke. Felt like I felt like I was making progress. Don't you feel like you're making progress sometime? Like, all this progress you're making, you feel excited, you feel, just so overwhelmed with joy because you're like, yeah, we're doing it, we're making it happen. However, on this particular morning, I remember waking up, man, super tired. After a hard night of serving and bartending. So I was a bartender and serving at this sushi restaurant. It's a hibachi grill called Ronin Hibachi Grill. And I was working Sunday night. And Sunday night's kind of slow. People don't normally drink at night. They don't really take their family out. It's like family day. So it was okay, but it was still tiring. I got out like around 11 or 12 usually. And I had to wake up early the next day, which is like 8 a.m. You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful. Remember that, guys. You don't need to be up at 5 a.m. It's just my schedule now. Why? Because I have kids. If you don't have kids, wake up at 9, wake up at 10, whatever it is. I got job responsibility. Maybe you have a job responsibility. That's why you wake up at 5. But if you don't have kids, wake up whatever time you want because that's not the point of being successful. It's not about waking up early to be successful. No, it's just the routine I got right now because my kids, they distract me a lot. I would say a lot. I want to say other words, but they distract me. Sometimes I want to strangle some of them, but it's okay. We all have kids, we know. But during that time, waking up at 8 a.m., man, I was worn out. I was tired. I might have taken a couple of shots that night before too. Somebody bought me a couple of shots. I drank a few. So I was tired. I woke up, went to this extra room I had that's turned into an office now. It's 8 a.m. I'm tired. And I sat on my gaming computer, this massive monster. There's like 6 fans, LED lights everywhere. So I built this computer, this gaming rig to play games. But I ended up giving that life up because now I'm focused on Photoshop, working on this online business, editing images, especially product images. I was doing all of that. So I'm logging into the Seller Central account and nothing's working. Like, what's going on? I can't see anything. Nothing's opening. Like I can't view my orders. I can't do anything. Everything seems active, right? The inventory is, the listing is working. Everything seems active online, but why can't I see my orders? Why can't I process things? And back then they didn't block the way they block it now. And next thing you know, I realized I missed this red mark on a flag and my Seller Central account got suspended. Maybe I was half asleep, so I didn't see this notification. Next thing you know, everything stopped. My partner's running in like, hey man, like what happened? What's going on? Dude, like what's happening? We got suspended for some violation. Account got shut down. So you're making $5,000-$6,000 a month and you're making progress. Things are working. Next thing you know, your business is shut down. Most of us probably going through something like that. Or maybe have gone through something like that. Some of us maybe haven't gotten through something like that. But I want to let you know now, there will be account deactivation, suspension, whatever you call it. It will happen. There is no 100% way to prevent it, but there's steps to protect yourself, to prepare. But this is me reminding you guys that in business, there will be things that comes up. So prepare yourself. If you're in business, you will get sued. If you're in business, an employee will try to sue you. That happened to me too. Disgruntled employee. I thought I was running it well, but I guess I wasn't. They weren't happy. My fault. There will be times where you get sued by another company. There will be time when suppliers don't send it the way they send it. There will be time when they send you thousands and thousands of units that have millimeters of defect that affects the wholesales of the business. But during that time, like you feel like things are just hitting you more, right? You get hit with suspension, now you get hit with personal issues, now you get hit with health issues, then you get hit with financial issues and all these things happening all at once, and it gets overwhelming. It's not about just preparing, but it's like, man, I'm getting hit left and right here. You getting punched in the face. It's like Tyson says, right? You got all these plans until you get punched in the face. What do you do next? Now you're feeling fearful. Now you're feeling anxiety. So who knows what I'm talking about? Who here knows? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Raise your hand if you know. You guys know what I'm talking about. Feeling overwhelmed because you get punched in the face. Right? We get punched in the face all the time, and sometimes it just keep coming at you. Right? Yeah, man. It's like somebody just waiting. Right? It's just waiting for you. It's like somebody waiting in the corner. It's like, okay, it's time to punch them. It's time to take them out. It's time to take them out even more. They're down. Let's stomp on them. I remember when I was younger and we were at the club. Hey, we all went to the club when we were young, okay? So don't judge me. I went out hang out with my friends too. I was 20 years old. no, 20, 21 years old. And I was training, I was doing Muay Thai and MMA. So I'm always training because I'm like, man, I need it because I felt insecure. I didn't want to get beat up. And so we went out to the club, and next thing you know, I'm leaving, and then the guy who I train with, like, there's a fight outside. I'm like, whoa, I don't want to be a part of this. There's like five people fighting each other, just hitting it, everybody just hitting everybody. And next thing you know, like, I'm scared. And the friend that I trained with, he was like 6'5". This guy is jacked. He's like, man, I got you. And I'm just watching him, and he just grabbing dudes and kneeing them in the face, right? Like, you don't know what to expect. Like, you're not ready. Like, that's what I mean. Like, when things happen, you're not ready. You never know what's gonna happen. You just coming out from a club, you had a few drinks in, you feel happy. Next thing you know, dudes are just fighting around you and you're throwing punches. You're like, man, I don't want to get into this. I don't want to get stomped on. But the guy next to me was prepared. That's his lifestyle. He's been training for like 10 years. I've been only been training for like 1 year. So he looked at it as like, hey, this is an opportunity for me to practice. So he did. Anyway, that was a sidetrack, side tangent, but what I want to talk about really is the fear and anxiety. How do we get through that? How do we handle that fear and anxiety? Let's talk about fear first. So this is very interesting as I was doing research on this, and I've been blessed, honestly, with the fact that I don't see fear in front of me, which is kind of bad. Like, I just kind of like, okay, I'm afraid, screw it, let's just do it anyway. And then I suppress that fear, and then we move on. But a lot of people, a lot of some of you guys might see fear as, oh my God, I'm scared. And fear, pretty much your brain is trying to protect you from danger, both physical and emotional. Anxiety, on the other hand, is pretty much not knowing what to do, not knowing what to do next. And it's a reminder to have a plan. Now, this is a different way of thinking about it, right? Anxiety comes when, we always associate stress and anxiety together, but anxiety for me, sometimes you can think about it as it's a reminder that something was left undone, that you didn't prepare for something. So now you feel anxious. For example, let's say there's an exam coming up. Maybe like a month from now, there's some special exam, and you feel anxious because you want to do well, so you have to study. It's a reminder for you to study and prepare yourself. And you want a good grade, and you don't know how. You don't know if that good grade is going to happen. You don't know if you're going to do well. So that's the anxiety behind it. If you have a client that you got to talk to and present something, and you're nervous because you want the deal to close, you don't know if you can close the deal. And so anxiety comes because you want to control what happens at the end, but it's a reminder for you to prepare what you can control. And if you don't control yourself, what will happen? It means you will be more anxious. So anxiety is you don't have control of what the future holds. And sometimes a lot of, for us, fear kicks in because it's just trying to protect us from doing something, moving forward. Fear is a way for us to, your brain telling you, hey, don't do that. Let's not jump off a cliff, all right? There's a cliff. Fear is like, hey, don't jump off a cliff. But there's people, if you guys seen those cliff divers, they jump off the cliff all the time. It's a fun thing for them. So there's, there's fear in all of us, but some people overcome their fear. It could be good and it could be bad, because some people will not jump off the cliff because if they're too scared, they get pushed off, they will die because jumping off a 100-foot cliff and landing on your face will be very bad for you. So there's a way to do it. Foot first, all right, foot down. But anxiety, happens to all of us, and it's just how we think about it. And to me, I think anxiety is trying to control the future that you can't control. And so we have to learn how to shift. And most of the time, we feel fear and anxiety, even though we have a plan and we're prepared. Even when we are prepared and we have a plan, we still feel anxiety and fear. Why? I think this is important because something in our past has made it, when you feel this irrational feeling, right? It's not rational at all. Like, if you use your logic, if you had prepared, you had spent all your time and energy to do the best that you can, why do you still feel anxiety? It's very irrational. It doesn't make sense. When you spent all that time already, weeks of preparation, why do you still feel scared and anxious? And before anything even happened, before you even take the exam, before you even meet the client, before you even buy the order from the supplier, it's because some past experience you felt that made you get fearful of things not working out. There are past experience that made you felt like even if you try, you will fail. And there's past experience that hurt you so bad that you feel those anxiety and fear, even when it's irrational, even though it might not even happen. There's some past experience that made you felt like you weren't good enough so that when you do this, it's not going to succeed. There's some past experience that makes you feel like if you failed, life is over. So for example, let's say, for example, you prep for this presentation at work. You spend all this time and effort for weeks, okay? You've done your research, you made this nice PDF, and now you feel anxious and anxiety, and you can't sleep at night on the day of the presentation. That doesn't make sense, right? You did all this preparation. And this could be linked to a past experience where you did a presentation in front of your peers, thousands of people, and you screwed up. Maybe you accidentally, put a half-naked picture of yourself on the presentation without thinking about it. Just kidding. But, now you're crying, you ran off, you tripped, you fell, you bust your nose, now you're bleeding everywhere. It's a horrible experience. People are making fun of you and laughing at you. So now every time you give a presentation, you're scared and anxious that something like that might happen again. That's why it's so important. The number one thing that's important right now is you got to reflect on what's causing your fear and anxiety to grow. Because it might not be from you. It might not be from the actual situation that you're trying to control in the future. It could be something that's happened to you in your past. Somebody said something to you. You learned that from someone. Whatever it may be, spend time to do that reflection. And that's why I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that help me overcome that fear and anxiety, because we have to overcome it. We can't get rid of it because that doesn't exist. There's no way you can get rid of fear and anxiety. There's no way. You can try, but it will always be there. But what we can do is overcome it. And we're overcomers. All of us here are overcomers in some way, some form. Remember that. You guys went through life and you survived. You overcome your childhood. You overcome the pain and the struggle that you face in your life. And you made it here today, sitting here. You're alive. So let's talk about some of the things that I do that help me overcome my fear and anxiety, because it still comes. Like, hey, man, like we made a decision. Did we make a right decision? Like when I invest money, like, oh God, think about it, irritates me. But also I'm like, okay, I'm too late now, right? So I invested like $250,000 in this crypto thing. I was recommended. And next thing you know, I'm down 90%. That sucks. It sucks. Right? But at the time, I was a little fearful of doing it and I should have think about it more, but I was chasing after greed. My greed was stronger than my fear. So anyway, long story short, like this, now I'm fearful that I can't get the money back, but then I'm like, it's too late. I can always make it back somewhere else. But those are things that could happen. So here's some of the tools that I want to share that helps me get overcome fear and anxiety. Okay. So number one, let's identify the source. Where is it coming from? Who did you pick up this habit? What big event, what big trauma caused this? What's the root cause of the fear and anxiety? Is it feeling that you're not good enough so that when you try something, you might fail and it's not okay for you to fail? I realized when I was young, that's why I teach my kids, I allow my kids to fail a lot, because when I was growing up, man, I totally felt like a failure. My parents made me feel like a failure and I felt like a failure. Even my teacher made me feel like a failure. And And as I grew through that, there was a period where I shifted my mindset. And I just like, man, you know what? I survived every single failure. It's okay. And so I kept bouncing back much faster. The rebound. Like in basketball, you can be offensive, but man, if you're weak at rebound, you will lose. Rebound game is really important in basketball. If you guys watch basketball, the NBA and stuff like that, man, rebound. If you got strong players that can get rebounds, you will win the game most of the time. Why? Because you have more time on the ball to take chances for shots. Can't be like Steph Curry, making threes like 50 points at a time every quarter. It ain't gonna happen all the time. There's gonna be days where he's not feeling good. He might have some struggle with his wife. His mom might be sick. You don't know, and that affects your game. But when you're able to rebound, that means you can get up and shoot again, take another shot. So know where the source is. For me, no, that's how I figured out that, I learned that it was okay at a very young age to fail because I survived. My life wasn't over. So find out the source. That comes to the next point, which is the rebound. You understand the rebound already. How do you come back faster? How do you get up faster? But you got to understand that failure is not the end. Just because this thing doesn't work out doesn't mean your life is over. Just because you fail at this doesn't mean it's over. You get up and you try again. And that's what I did. That's what I had to do. Bought this product. Didn't work. Shoot, we just lost a couple $1,000. Try again. And at a time period in my life where we didn't have a lot of money, I was using student loans to fund this project because I didn't have any money. So whatever money I had, I dumped into this business. The next thing was I worked on my positive mindset. So when I feel extremely overwhelmed, I always repeat out loud that I will get through this. I will get through this. I will get through this. We'll figure it out. I always remind everyone around me, we're going to figure this out. Because a lot of our anxiety and a lot of our fear comes from a place of not knowing what to do next. When you don't have an option, that's when you get fearful and anxious. There's always an option. For me, the truth is, dude, if you feel like you ain't got no option, the only option is to pray. Pray. Pray as much as you can. Pray for the answer. Pray for the solution. I'm telling you now, that's an option. If you haven't been doing that, start doing it. You're going through something hard in your life. Like I have a friend, God bless their heart. The mom has dementia. And we're talking about $10,000 a month. They do really well. He works with this company, $1 billion company. He's one of the senior directors, and they do so he manages mortgage-backed securities. So he packaged all these mortgage-backed securities and sell them to billionaires, investors. And so he makes a lot of money. His wife makes a lot of money too. But his wife's mom has dementia. And so their bills went up like crazy because just to take care of his mom-in-law, it's like 10 grand. And they're like, dude, this is crazy. Like we're burning through money all the time, like nonstop because they care about the mom. They want to take care of the mom. The wife stopped working to take care of the mom. And just to put them in a retirement home or like a home that's special care, like it's crazy expensive. And he was like, dude, I was so overwhelmed. The only thing I could do was pray because we love her. We want to take care of her. He has the money, but man, that's his saving too. His life savings is getting burned through. So what do you do, right? You pray, and then eventually they figure a way out. They found a support. They found a place that government supported some of that cost. They figure out a way, but they prayed at first. The next thing that always worked for me was a long exercise session. I worked out long. I walk for a very long time. I run for a very long time. I spend a lot of time walking, running, exercising. And during that time period, when I get anxious and fearful, I'm working out. I'm exercising. I'm doing long walks just to think and reflect, just to get past the anxiety and the fear. Once I get past that, my brain starts working and I'm thinking of what can I do next. because most people who are not successful, they don't know how to redirect the fear and anxiety into action. And so they will sit in it, and then it consumes their mind constantly. They don't give themselves a time to plan, to think, to reflect. Instead, what they do is they watch TV, and so that problem never goes away. The reason why you have anxiety is because there's unfinished business that you haven't taken care of. So the walking, exercising, running aggressively, man, just burning myself out on that calms my mind, remove the anxiety and fear, remind me that I'm alive. Because at the end of the day, we're all gonna die anyway. And right now you're not dead yet, so you should be happy. This gives you an opportunity to think, to process, to come up with a plan of what you need to do. So take action. Literally the opposite of sitting there watching a TV show to suppress the mind, to numb yourself, and then the problem never gets solved. And then you get that anxious feeling over again. The next thing, this one is recent. I started doing this because I got tired of journaling. You guys can journal, but I do self-talk discussion. So I have a AI voice recorder that I got from Hun. So thank you, Sifu Hun, for sharing that with me. And I started using that, and I've been recording myself talking. And every time I feel anxious or frustrated or angry or annoyed, I just start talking like, man, today I feel angry. And I'm like, and I start discussing, why am I angry? What's causing this anger? What's causing this anxiety? What's causing this fear? And as I'm discussing it, the truth is, it's very hard to reach out to people and be really vulnerable. This recorder is like me being vulnerable to myself. Instead of keeping it into my mind, where my mind will be very negative and doubtful, it helps me pull that out, and then I start asking myself questions. And so when I start recording it, I start asking myself different questions to help me, change my thinking around it. Like, what is the problem that I'm currently facing? What's the action that I'm consistently doing? What is the behavior that I need to change? The next thing is dedicated relationships. Who is someone that you trust, that's dedicated to you and you dedicate to them, that you can share, talk, and release? And hey, self-talk is great too. Self-talk discussion is what I do, but sometimes you need to talk to somebody. Who is that dedicated person that you can share with? Somebody that dedicated to you, and you dedicate to them, that you can share real close information with. Because they're the one who also help you. It will speak the life into you, speak positivity, speak growth into you, support you, help you get through things. The next one is faith focus. So don't rely on just your own power. I always remind everybody here that, I follow God, I trust God, and I focus on God's power. God got my back. That's great, man. When you got somebody that this infinite power got your back, everything is going to work out no matter what. And so faith focus, you cannot be fearful if you have faith. So have faith in something. The last thing that really helped me out is pretty much future self-reflection. Whenever I feel extremely fearful and anxious, I imagine 30 years from now what my life will be, what my 30-year-old self will be, and then what my 30-year-old self will say regarding the situation. Future self-reflection. So imagine right now I'm 36, 30 years from now, I'll be 66. What would my future self tell me about this situation? Would it impact me in my life, or would nothing happen? It's just another speck in the lifespan that I have. Is it gonna ruin my life forever? Probably not. When you think about it, man, 30-year lifespan from now, anything that happens right now, is it gonna ruin your life? Probably not. The only reason why you ruin your life is because you haven't changed. Everyone here is about change. So just because you guys want to change, your life will be different. Just because you're here wanting to change. That's the number one thing you got to understand is No matter what happened in a situation, if you're not trying to change, then your life will be the same. But 30 years from now, is it going to affect you that much? Probably not, because your life is long. When you think about 30 years, man, that's a long time. Think about that. 66, 70, 80, like I don't think you would care. So I always remind myself what my 30-year-old self, my 50-year-old self would say about this situation. What can you learn from this? What should you do with this? How do you overcome this? Or what do you need to change to get through this? And a lot of the things that a lot of the fear and anxiety is a behavior problem. We all have behavior problem. The reason why we procrastinate, the reason why we don't prepare is behavior. We choose not to do it because we haven't understand why it's important. So it's a behavior change. So ask yourself, what behavior do I need to change? What do I need to do differently? And it doesn't have to be right away. It could be like 1 or 2 times a week. You slowly making progress, but as long as you understand. Like, why do I always get myself into this place of drama? Well, maybe because you need to stop hanging out with friends that cause drama. Totally makes sense. Right? Why do I always have financial struggles? Stop buying 6, 7 courses that you never complete. Be a finisher. Instead of being a starter, be a finisher. Learn to finish. That's a behavior thing. Don't just start something and not finish. That's a behavior you need to have. I need to finish. Finish doesn't mean finish the entire thing. Finish means when I say I'm going to do something today, I'm going to get it done. That's a finisher. And when you change that behavior where you're not a finisher before and you're a finisher, don't be a starter, be a finisher. That's a very important behavior to change. Just the truth is you want to always live in a state of preparation. Your fear and anxiety is not going to go away. You got to overcome it. You got to get through it. That's all that matters. That's not going anywhere. Trust me, your fear and anxiety will always be there. We got to have a different perspective. We got to have a preparation process every day. And I always tell everybody this. I told you guys this before. The only way you guys can overcome it is that you got to know that, hey, bad things will happen in the future and it's going to be okay. If I fail, it's going to be okay. If things don't work out, it's going to be okay. If my account gets deactivated, it's going to be okay. If my business doesn't survive right now, will be okay. And I'm going to start it. If I don't have any money right now, it's going to be okay because I will find a way to survive. Because we always find a way to survive. You're here because you're a survivor. You're a finisher. You started something and you finish. You show up to work and you finish. You went to school and you finish. So start and finish, but make sure you change the behavior of becoming a finisher and live your life in preparation. Always prepare. Just know that things might not work out and it's okay. Get up, rebound. What's important is rebounding, getting back up and moving. Dude, just because you lost money doesn't mean it's over. I lost millions of dollars already. God, it sucks. But it's okay. I met guys who lost $50 million and it sucks. I met guys that lost $100 million and it's okay. So you losing a couple $1,000? Yeah. Sorry, I don't feel that bad for you. I didn't mean to be condescending and not understanding your feelings, but sometimes we got to move past our feelings and move towards action. That's the only thing that could change your life is the action that you take, not the feeling that you got. So be inspired today, guys. That's all I wanted to share. I just want to make sure that you guys, have the things that you need to overcome the anxiety and fear because we all got it. We all go through that. And if you're going through something right now, ask yourself why. Start reflecting. Why do you feel this way? Where did it come from? Who did this? Who created this habit in me? Who spoke this into me? Figure it out and then start taking action. Because life is going to keep moving forward. You're going to keep moving forward no matter what happened because you've done it so many times already, your entire life, so many times. So keep showing up, keep taking action. Just don't give up on yourself.